Hey guys, it's Saturday morning here in the Philippines, so it is time for us to do our free-for-all weekend video. And I came up with something a little different than what I was talking about the other day in the bonus video with the Calsonic R32 from Mini GT. I decided to do a super stock themed video. To be exact, it is a 60s super stock drag racing video with all Hot Wheels super stock cars except for one that I'm going to save for the end, and it's from Johnny Lightning, and I am not sure if it would have been ran in the super stock class like these other ones. So anyways, let's go ahead and get started. As you've seen in the thumbnail photo, cover photo, whatever you want to call it, this is the scene that was there. The Grumpy Jenkins 67 Camaro versus the Hold Tight 63 Plymouth Belvedere Max Wedge. So, anyways, this is probably not the race that would have taken place. There would have been a Dodge probably same year as Grumpy's toy. So, actually, let's move Hold Tight out of the way for a moment and put the era correct car there. The L23 Hurst Hemi Superstock Dart. Now this would have been a lineup that you probably would have seen back in 68, something like that, late 67. Because Grumpy's ride didn't change much. 67, 68 was the same, just the Camaro lost the vent windows and got marker lights, changed tail lights, and that's pretty much it. So, anyways, same car. And even Hot Wheels doesn't do that great of a job representing the 67 anyways, because it doesn't have vent windows, so it's a little bit off. So it's kind of like representing a 68 anyways. So, anyways, this kind of sets your stage for what it would have looked like back in 68 for, like, let's say the Winter Nationals for Superstock or something like that. The Hemi Dart that we have here from Hot Wheels is not really driven by anyone. I was hoping to obtain the vintage racing ones of the Dragon Lady. I think Shirley Madani was driving that. I'm not sure, but it's the Dragon Lady. And then the Dick Landy one. I found some, but unfortunately some of the vintage racing cars have an issue with the paint sticking to the card because they packaged a bunch of them with wet tampos, and the tampos stick to the card or they flake off or something like that. I had that issue with my Dick Landy Challenger, and it happens with the Continental Shaker Challenger, both of the Darts, the Dan Gurney Cuda, the Darrell Waltrip Mercury, and then the Smokey Eunuch Chevelle. There may actually be a couple more, but those are the ones that come to the top of my head. So if you guys have them carded and you're thinking about opening them, I'd probably advise not to open them. But anyways, this is what we got for today. We have some no-name Hemi Dart, but it is a cool looking car. They did a really good job making it look like a super stock Dart would have back in 68. This is the first year for, well, a Hemi in an A-body, the only year for a Hemi in an A-body for that matter. The option on the Dart was LO23, and they made about 80 of these guys. This was a program run by Hurst and Mopar, and these cars came delivered to you in gray primer with a black gel coat fiberglass front end. So really no frills or thrills. They came to you very, very basic. So you really had to put your own paint and everything on these cars. So that's why that one day when I was doing the A-body video, I brought this guy out, because basically this is a dealership correct the way it would have left, because basically they left in primer. I guess you could get them painted by the dealership body shop if you wanted to, but I don't know if that occurred back then or not. But anyways, they were delivered in gray primer from that Hearst warehouse, where they were thrown together with your fiberglass front end, your A100 front seats, your pull-up side plexiglass windows. They were not even roll-up. They took the mechanisms out, so they had a little tether on the side that you would pull up, and it would Velcro to the roof to hold the window up. So yeah, these were all race. But still yet, I think they were street legal. I think you could title them on the street. So anyways, let's get a better look at this guy. He looks really good with the Dodge and Mopar dealership sponsorship on the side. And the guy's name was Mickey Weiss. He could have been a driver. He could own one. I'm not sure if this is some kind of significance with like a Hot Wheels designer or something like that, or if this was actually a driver. I'm not 100% sure on that one. So anyways, they have like the racing engine sponsor on the front, and this is from, I think it's the Hot Wheels Motown something set from the early 2000s. And these cars are really nice. They're die-cast body but plastic chassis, but they do have rubber wheels or rubber tires, and not much detail on the front or rear, but still very nicely done car. The paint job, as I said, looks era correct for like a 60s super stock Dart. So this is one that I really dig, and this will kind of fulfill my needs for a Hemi Dart for my vintage racing cars until I can find some mint Dick Landy and Dragon Lady vintage racing darts. So this is Grumpy's toy. This is from the Hall of Fame set from back in '04, I believe. And they came in like a PVC plastic clamshell style package. And what's cool about this 67 Camaro, they actually put door lines with the tampos. So that was really cool because, as you guys know, the 67 Camaro lacks door lines and door handles. And they actually started doing something about that back in, I think it was 2013, when they released the Summit Racing Camaro in the main line, but they also released a super variant of it, and there's a lot of them with door lines, door handles, and things like that. Some of them had both, some of them only had one, so it just depends. But anyways, that was the first year they started tampering around with the door lines and stuff. But this one has the door lines and the tampos, which is really cool. They did a great job representing the decals of the car, what was on Grumpy's. And as you know, the 67 Camaro has the side exit exhaust, and it first appeared in 1982. That's why you have that copyright there. But they did a nice job with painting the rear valence panel, the front valence panels white and stuff like that to try to make the bumpers look smaller and such to give it more of a realistic look. So they did a really good job on this for Hot Wheels. Still yet, you know, it has its cartoonish proportions like the wheel openings and stuff, and then the fender well headers and things like that. But still, hey, it's not too bad. They did a nice job for trying to represent a 67 super stock Camaro. So then we have another 68. We'll go ahead and get the late 60s out of the way and then kind of go back in time. So this is your Bo29 Hearst Hemi super stock Barracuda. And they made 50 of these guys. So they made less Plymouth Barracudas than they did Darts, and it was the Bo29 option. Same setup though, you got these cars delivered to you in gray primer with a black gel coat front end. Same thing, A100 front seats, heater delete, radio delete, everything delete. I think carpet delete, everything. And then you had your plexiglass side glass that was pull up, not roll up, not power, but manual pull up with a tether type of thing. So anyways, this is how one would have looked probably back in the late 60s. When somebody got it delivered to them, they would have taken it to their custom body shop and had them paint it, because this paint job screams late 60s, early 70s. So crazy CUDA. Very cool, very era correct. So really cool car. So next one in line are our, well, actually I have a 65 here, so, and it's a Greenlight. Sorry, I thought these were going to be all Hot Wheels, but they're not. So there's a Greenlight 65 Coronet postcard. This is probably one of the most popular body styles of the mid 60s, like Mopars out of the Plymouth, the Dodges. I would say the 65 Coronet is the most notable. I think because of Dick Landy and because they did do a lot of altered wheelbase cars with these, but it was the hard tops, not the post cars. And the hard tops compared to the post cars had a totally different, well, this would be C-pillar on this car, but B-pillar on the hard top. So it kind of had a wraparound, like back window type of look to it. So yeah, the hard tops and then the post cars were a little bit different roof lines. So anyways, this is a pretty cool car by Greenlight. Pretty much what a super stock Coronet would have looked like back then. And it has the, this may have actually a wedge style engine in it. I don't think that's a Hemi. But anyways, just brought this out because this is one of the more notable cars of the mid-60s, Mopars, the 65 Dodge, and then I think the 64 Plymouth was also a very popular one. That usually the 65 Coronet and the 64 Plymouth are very noteworthy for like drag racing NHRA fans. So this is nice, though. I mean, Greenlight did a heck of a job representing a 65 Coronet post car. So, let's go now to 64. And that was your first year for the Hemi. So, this is a 64 Dodge 330. This is also a really popular car for super stock because, well, one reason being this is one of the first Hemi cars ever. So the 64 Plymouth and the 64 Dodge are pretty well notable in NHRA drag racing, Mopar guys, everything like that, because it's the first year for the Hemi. I think the first year they started using aluminum parts on these cars too, because they lightened them up and put aluminum front clips, aluminum bumpers, things like that to kind of make it a little lighter. Even some of these cars, I think it was the altered wheelbase factory cars, the bodies were acid dipped. They would dip them in acid to make the metal thinner and lighter. So up until that, though, they were using aluminum parts. But I still think the acid dipped shells of the AWB Coronet still had aluminum front clips, or they had fiberglass, but I'm not sure. They may have just been acid dipped metal. So anyways, but that's like some history on like what these guys went through. And not just the guys, the car companies. They were like overkill with winning races, and NHRA and drag racing was very, very popular back in the early 60s. So everybody wanted to have the fastest quarter mile cars and ones that you could race on Sunday and buy at the dealership on Monday. So yeah, they had some really wild optioned cars, or actually I should say no optioned cars, that factory drag cars basically. So this is a cool one. This is the Melon from last year. This is the, I can't say first time it had an opening hood, but the first time it appeared in the Since 68 series in black with a red interior with the Neo style plastic wheels. It did not have an opening hood in the on the casting. Not sure if they did this when it was released in the Neo Classics a couple years back in RLC, or if this is the first time it had an opening hood. This is the first time the car ever had rubber tires, and this is only the third time the car has ever appeared, unless it was in a convention lineup that I'm not aware of. That's also a possibility. So this is a really cool piece to have for super stock fans, drag racing fans, and so forth. The next ones that I have are Fords, and I really did not know I had this many Thunderbolts, and I love Thunderbolts. Probably my favorite Ford. 1964 is actually my favorite year for Ford because I love their Galaxies, I like the Falcon, and of course love the Fairlane Post car, which also is the Thunderbolt. I think they made about 100 of these guys. They made more automatics than 4-speeds, but not by much. I think it was like 48 or 49 4-speeds and then like 51 or 52 automatics. Some people claim there were more than 100. I'm not sure, maybe true. I'm not a huge Ford guru like I am about Mopar, so not sure on this one. But this is one of the most iconic 60s Ford drag cars, though, the Thunderbolt. All of them were two-door post cars. They did not build any hardtop Thunderbolts. They all had this teardrop fiberglass hood. They may have even had a full fiberglass front end or aluminum front end. I'm not sure on that either. But it was usually 427, I believe dual quad, factory ram air. As you see, the center headlights are gone, your high beams, and that was from the factory. So very unique, very rare, and iconic Ford from the 60s. This is one of the more notable ones. Butch Lil's car. This is from the Dragstrip Demons series. I don't remember if it's the set from 09 or the set from 10, if it's from the 25 or 30 car set. Don't remember, but this is one of them. They made like 3 variants or 4 variants of the Thunderbolt and the Dragstrip Demons, and they did a really cool job with blacking out that center headlight, detailed tail lights, metal on metal. Dragstrip Demons was a really cool series. Wish they would make another set. I know they just did the gassers a couple years back, I think in 18 or 19, but I wish they would do something more extensive, like another 25 or 30 car set, and maybe do more gassers and AWB cars, and because the last 2 sets were more focused on funny cars and such. But I am not complaining. I love those series. Here's another Dragstrip Demons. The Mariposa, I think, is how you would say his name, Mauler. So this is one that I don't really remember seeing a lot in magazines and pictures. The Butch Lil one, though, I do remember seeing a lot in like old Superstock, National Dragster books, magazines, and such. So yeah, that's one that I do remember. This one I don't remember so much seeing this paint job. The other one that they have is yellow and red, and I don't remember who drives it either, and I don't remember seeing many pictures of it. But yeah, this guy's name was, I think, Matthew Mariposa, and anyways, not sure much, don't know much about him. And then the yellow and red one, I can't even remember the name of that car, but that's another one that I don't remember too much. The next 2 Thunderbolts I will show you are ones that I can say I remember seeing. But yeah, once again, the Dragstrip Demons ones are really nicely done. Error correct, like ET slot style wheels, they would have had those, or like Hillebrands, something like that. Really nicely done. Paint job, silver with black metallic, it looks like, and the white. It could be silver sides, not sure. But yeah, really nicely done by Hot Wheels in this series of Dragstrip Demons. The next 2 are from a set kind of like where the Dart's from. I think it's like Hot Wheels maybe it's even the Hot Wheels 100%, because these are the Ford racing ones. These are the two packages that they screwed up, where they put 1965 Mustang, and it wasn't. It was a 1964 Thunderbolt. So every one of the packages were screwed up. They were all labeled Mustangs. They were also limited to 15,000. They had a silver sticker on there that said 1 of 15,000, and all of them in both color variants were labeled Mustangs, not Thunderbolts. Anyways, I remember seeing a paint job identical to this, but it used to say Hemi Hunter, because that's basically Ford's answer for Mopar's Hemi, although the Hemi and Mopar dominated super stock through the early 60s until the late 60s and so forth. They killed it. Basically, even with the Max Wedge back in 63, which we'll get into that on our next car, they killed it with that car too. So yeah, nobody could really compete with Mopar in the 60s super stock. So anyways, this is lacking a little detail. It would be nice if those center headlights were blacked out, but I probably could do that with a fine point Sharpie if I really wanted to, which I may. They did paint the tail lights, though. That is cool. This is plastic on metal. Unfortunately, not metal on metal like the Dragstrip Demons, but still nicely done. Error correct paint job with that bird with the cross flags and the 427. So they did do a good job with the retro style paint. The next one is probably the most notable like style paint job. It's like Butch Lil's, basically this dark burgundy with the cross flag Fairlane bird and the 427 Thunderbolt on the quarter panel. This is the most iconic paint job that I can recall. This is the one that's iconic to me. This is the one that I've seen the most. Once again, could use those center headlights blacked out with a Sharpie. But even you could tell in the casting, if you kind of look at it, if I can get it to focus again, the headlights are even kind of flat in the center. They're kind of even made to look like they're not there. It looks like the outer ones are more domed than the center. So you got that detail, but still it could use some paint to add a little more detail to it. But once again, they did do the taillights. And once again, plastic chassis, metal body, but rubber tires. Very nice. And once again, it was mislabeled a Mustang, and that's Ford Racing 100% series back in the early 2000s. So, the next ones are 63 Plymouth, and this is the first year for the 426 Max Wedge. That's when NHRA upped the cubic inch to, I think it was 427 from, I don't remember what it was prior to that. I just know they increased the size and allowed them to run 426, so then Mopar built the 426 Max Wedge. They still had the 413 race and things like that, but since they could increase the cubic inches, that's what they did in 63. That's why the 63 ZL1 409 car, many of you guys don't know, was labeled a 409, but it's actually a 427. It's a stroked 409 from the factory. So that car is actually a 427 W head 409. But anyways, Mopar labeled theirs a 426, no longer a 413 wedge, and this is a really cool car. Love this car. Came out in the Garage Series back in 2011. This is my favorite one because this is what I remember seeing at car shows and stuff growing up and going to them in the 80s and 90s. Seeing the plain red, black, white, whatever it may be, but they had the color-coded steel rims, which was really cool. So this one really gives me that nostalgic feeling, and it did a really good job with tail lights, the Plymouth across the deck lid, the minimal trim, but it's there, and they highlighted it, like on the deck lid and on the C-pillar. You have your Belvedere emblem on the fender. The only thing they lacked on was headlight details. But even the Plymouth on the hood is there. So really cool. Hood pins are there. Very nicely done. Red on red car. Beautiful. So next one is if you would have taken your car that you bought at the dealership like that and painted it up for the track. This is the second variant from that same series, the 2011 Garage Series, Hold Tight. This one's the harder one to find of the two, in my opinion. It took me a little while to find this one compared to the red one. And I have not found another one here anyways since. In the States, I think this is still harder to find than the red one, but they're both kind of readily available. Not sure how much they cost nowadays, but yeah, very nice car. Great representation of it. And then Matchbox, and I say thank you, Matchbox came out with a 62 Plymouth that they're releasing or have already released. I've seen some YouTube videos on it. That looks really badass too because it's all black with black steel rims and it looks like it has a little hubcap. They're just plastic wheels. It's just a basic mainline Matchbox, but it looks really cool, looks really era correct. Hoping that it's up to scale with these guys so it fits in my display case because I will buy a couple of them. I'm not even sure I will swap them to rubber tires because, as I said, the plastic ones look really good on that car. So the last one is probably about a 1965 Cobra 427, and I left him on his hauler that I put him on in my display case. This hauler is from Greenlight. The Cobra is from Johnny Lightning. The Cobra, I did a rear tire swap on it because Johnny Lightning's, as I pointed out before, really easy to wheel swap. The wheels are like hubcaps. They're two-piece. The tires go on, and then you just pull the tire off, and the wheel falls off with it, and then you have a rear backing plate, basically, on the axle. So really easy to swap out wheels and tires. Well, this car originally came with, like, gray painted Kragers. I wanted chrome Kragers with a bigger slick on the back because that's the way the car was represented at the track back in the 60s. Except the wheels, I think, were more like a Hillebrand style than these Kragers. But hey, Kragers are era correct though, so they look good. What is really unique about this car, and I've got it zoomed in, sorry, kind of brought that out here. So anyways, this is motion performance, and most gearheads know Baldwin Motion. And yes, this is the same motion, but not when they were affiliated with Baldwin. Motion was a performance company that did a lot of like upgrades on cars for the track. They've built Oldsmobiles, they've built Cobras, and then they partnered up with Baldwin Chevrolet and just started doing cars from Chevy. But yeah, this is a really cool car, something you don't see really every day. The Cobra as a drag car, for one. Two, having this removable hardtop, which is really unique too. And then the Motion Performance collaboration, because they're mostly known for working with General Motors cars. And then, anyways, they teamed up with Chevy. So, and as I said, you could find some Oldsmobiles out there with the Motion name on them. And then you see the Motion plate. And unfortunately, this car is one of Johnny Lightning's hideous paint rashing problems. I don't think it's zinc rotting. I just think it has some kind of issue with the paint bubbling and paint rashing. When it's not under the fluorescent lights, it's not too bad. But since it's under these fluorescent lights, it looks pretty bad. But anyways, it's not so bad in the display case. So really cool piece. It just really has a lot of racing heritage and nostalgia behind it. So that's why I had to bring this out and show it to you guys. I'm not sure if it was in a super stock class. I don't think so, or if it was like maybe in an outlaw class because it was so light, so small. These cars were smaller than a Vet and probably lighter than a Vet with the aluminum body and such. So anyways, I just wanted to bring that out because it was in the same era, 60s, and it would have been like super stock. So super stock kind of, I don't know, I can't say like fell off the map, but it became less popular with all these big name guys like Grumpy and Sox and Martin and so forth. Yeah, I forgot to bring out the Sox and Martin CUDA. Anyways, you guys have seen that before, but anyways, that would have been nice to have in this video, but it's too late. But yeah, in 70, all these guys went to pro stock because then they could modify the chassis, put bigger tires on the back of them and such. So, yeah, that's where they went. So the 1970s started a whole new era with pro stock. So, anyways, guys, I hope you enjoyed this. This is just kind of a little show and tell about some 1960s super stock cars, and I know the Thunderbolts, you guys haven't really seen those before. And the Cobra, I don't think you've seen before either. So some new ones here for you to take a look at. And then if you have not subscribed yet, please remember to do so. Please give me a thumbs up. Please share the video. Tell your friends about my channel. And then on Monday, we'll be doing a premium unboxing. I'm not sure what it's going to entail, if it will be Hot Wheels or Greenlight or Mini GT. Probably going to be Hot Wheels, but I'm not sure. So make sure you tune back in to check that out, and then enjoy the rest of your weekend, and I will see you guys come Monday. Thanks for watching.